I've got a bad case of dad bod.
I'm a middle aged dad, and this is my journey to get back in shape by rediscovering my childhood love of cycling. Come on and take a ride with me. Welcome back to On Your Left. Today I'm going to go over the bike that I use and some of the gear that I usually bring with me on those long rides, especially if I'm riding alone or even if I'm riding with the rest of my family. I'm currently riding a Trek Dual Sport 2 hybrid bike. I've had it a little bit over a month, so it's nice and broken in now. Hybrid bikes are meant for road riding and a little bit of trail riding. They also make good commuter bikes, going over bumpy streets and things like that. They're a little sturdier than road bikes and can handle a little bit of off road trails like a mountain bike. They're just not specialized to be good at either of the extremes, but they're good all around bikes. And while it's still a hybrid, the dual sport series bikes lean a little bit more towards the mountain bike end of the spectrum. But it can still hold its own on the road, even if it's never going to be quite as quick as a really specialized road bike. The main things that make a dual sport different than other hybrid bikes is the size of its tires and its front suspension. The stock tires on this bike are a Kenda Piedmont. They're actually cyclocross or gravel bike tires, and they're sized at 700C by 40 millimeters, which is a little bit wider than normal for hybrid bikes, which are usually around 35 millimeters. While most hybrid bike tires are a little smoother and more rounded, these have a little bit more of aggressive tread on them, especially around the edges to give you a little bit of grip, especially when turning. The front suspension has about 63 millimeters of travel, which is it gives you a good bounce. It can absorb a lot of shock, but it's nowhere near what a mountain bike should have. Most mountain bikes will have at least 100 millimeters travel. The two knobs at the top of the suspension give you some adjustability. One of them is your preload setting, so you can adjust the sensitivity, and the other one is a lockout, which is nice because if you're going to be riding strictly on the road with it, you can at least temporarily lock out your suspension so that you get that firmer, more road like feel, and then quickly switch it to open for riding on the trails or on bumpy, broken pavement. My favorite feature on this bike is the hydraulic disc brakes. If you've never ridden a disc brake bike before, it's a real game changer. They give you a lot of stopping power, and you don't really have to pull hard on the brake levers to make it stop like you would with caliper brakes. It just takes a nice light controlled touch, and honestly, the first time you really use disc brakes, you're going to have the urge to just jam on them, and the bike will stop, but you might not if you're going fast enough. But once you get used to that lighter touch, you'll find that you have a lot of control over your braking and a lot of confidence in your ability to stop. A big advantage is that the hydraulic disc brakes require almost no maintenance. You'll have to change your disc pads maybe once every couple of years and occasionally get your hydraulic lines bled. I also find it easier getting the wheels on and off with a quick release if I have to change a tire or something like that. And you don't have to jockey through the brake pads. You just make sure that the disc goes in the slot and you're fine. I usually end up riding alone, sometimes at longer distances, so I like to make sure that I'm prepared with all the tools that I'm going to need to take care of most roadside problems. And when I'm not riding alone, I'm riding with my whole family, which basically means I'm managing a fleet of several bikes, and there's always something going wrong with one of them. Either way, you don't want to be stuck by the roadside without a way to repair a bike, fix a flat tire, or make a little adjustment to something. Fixing a flat tire is by far the most common thing you're going to have to do, and you're going to need a tool to help you get your tire off and get at your inner tube. So you need to have at least one set of tire levers. I actually usually carry two or three sets since they're small and light. Trust me, if you're ever caught without these and you have to change a tire, you'll want to carry them all the time. You'll, of course, want to carry at least one spare inner tube, or more if you have the room for it. The inner tube in this box is for 700C tires with a width between 35 and 40 millimeters, and that range of widths means that these tubes will work not only on my dual sport, it will also work on the other hybrid bikes that the rest of my family has. Just in case we have a lot of flat tires, I like to carry some patch kits. These are adhesive stick-on patches. So if you can locate where the puncture is, you can usually stick on a patch and pump your tire back up and keep going without having to change a whole tube. If you're in a hurry, it's good to have one of these CO2 inflators. That's the little fixture goes on the Schrader valve, and you can screw in the CO2 cylinder and it will fill up your tire real quick, at least far enough to get you home, even if it's not necessarily optimal. I usually have like 2 or 3 of these little 4-ounce CO2 cylinders in my kit. I usually don't use them, but it's nice to have them. You definitely want to carry a decent hand pump that can get your tire pumped up from empty to good enough to get you home. Even a good hand pump like this will take a lot of work to pump up a tire all the way to full pressure. So you want to make sure you try and get a good one and try to get one that actually has a pressure gauge on it as well. So I have a good selection of hex wrenches and screwdriver heads to choose from between the two multi-tools I have here. And I also like to carry a universal spoke adjustment tool. That's the round one. It's got slots for just about every common size spoke fitting. So if you're riding with your family and you've got potentially 3, 4, 5 different size spokes to deal with, it's a good thing to have. You probably won't use it very often out on the road, but you'll be glad you had it if you need it. I actually usually only use it at home to make minor adjustments. If somebody's wheel is a little bit off and needs to be adjusted, I'll tighten up or loosen a spoke just to bring it back true. I also have a selection of accessories attached to my handlebars. I've got my cell phone holder, which is always a plus to have, so I can run a GPS app, have a map in front of me, and ride with GPS so I can track my ride. I've got my safety light. This it's a nice 250 lumen headlight. Does a couple of different brightnesses and blinking. It's more for safety than for visibility at night, but it's always a good thing to have. And I've got the mount for my little action camera that I run with sometimes. You can't see it in this picture, but on the back on my seat stem is the matching tail light that goes with this light set. Again, for safety. And finally, to carry everything, I've got a low cost pouch with another cell phone holder in it up by my handlebars, and the flat pack pouch under the seat to carry all my tools. Again, I carry more tools and supplies than most people probably would, just because those times when I go out with the family and we run a whole bunch of bikes. We literally have a fleet of bikes in our garage, so I want to make sure that I've got everything I need in case one of the kids has a problem. So I carry a bunch of stuff, so it adds some weight, but the type of riding I'm doing, I'm not that concerned about min-maxing speed and such. So that's my gear and my bike. You'll see me do a few videos of me riding it on various trails and roads around the area, and hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. Again, I'm not an expert, so if I've said anything wrong about any of the equipment, feel free to correct me in the comments. And have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.